Okay, so there are questions. I will try to answer later, but let me finish a little bit more about bodhicitta. So I hope I've managed to convince you that bodhicitta really should have this element of wisdom. Okay, I'm using the word wisdom, but I don't know whether that's a really a good translation. Anyway, for the beginners, for them to understand this easier, I would say wisdom is basically mind that is seeing the truth. A lot of you have heard this before, but for the newcomers, if I repeat, so like impermanence, for instance, many times uh, we we are looking at something that's impermanent, but always sort of not see its truth, which is impermanent, but keep on imagining it's permanent. And similarly, we are looking at things that are a lot of, lot of parts, but then we always end up thinking it's just one unit, so on and so forth. This is just to give you an example. Uh, If we talk more deeper level of the truth, we are talking about, we relate to things that are just an imagination or an appearance, but we end up always seeing them as real. Some of them we can sort of understand that they are just our imagination, uh, but there are a lot of things that we uh, think that they are real. You can't sort of, uh, you know, that has to be the ultimate truth. Things like that. So, anyway, seeing the absolute truth is what we call prajna, which is translated as a wisdom. So that aspect is the big part of the bodhicitta. If someone wishes to have a cup of tea, water is essential, but tea leaf is important. You can't just give this person a cup of water. The likewise, this aspect of the wisdom is really, really important. But for most of the beginners, this truth, this understanding of this truth is, beyond their comprehension, I guess. It's not because it's difficult. It's just habitually not, we are habitually not accustomed to. For instance, like impermanence, we kind of intellectually, we know yesterday's me and today's me, they are kind of different. But in our day-to-day interaction with the life, we just forget. We just think that yesterday's me is same as today's me. Not only yesterday, last year's me is same as today's me, so on and so forth. And a lot of things like our ideas, values, if we intellectually analyze, we can come to a conviction, we can come to some sort of understanding. Yes, that's just my idea, that's just my opinion, that's just my projection, kind of. I mean, for a lot of people, even that is difficult. Because for us, some of our ideas, some of our values are really precious. They're, stone carved in the center of our heart, very valuable. We will not give up as just imagination. Okay, so for this kind of beginners, how do we then practice bodhicitta? Since we, it's tough, it's tough to conceive it habitually. Then what do we do? So this is why it is such a brilliant method. The practice of the bodhicitta may all be enlightened. Instead of saying may all be happy, may all be not. Not suffer. May all have. I don't know. May all be well. This kind of like well wishing. That's like a wishing well, but instead of that, may all be enlightened. So this, for the beginners, is such a brilliant idea. It's like a really good stepping stone. Yeah, so I know it sounds like I'm repeating again and again. So this wish to make other people see the truth, it's such a wholesome, the greatest wholesome thought. Um, and then another thing that another thing that probably you want to make note is this. Generally, Buddhism, and especially in the Mahayana Buddhism, basically all all methods are one way or another related to end up to this truth. So Mahayana, okay, the Buddhists will talk about things like renunciation, ascetic life, let's say, right? The word renunciation means a lot, but let's choose the the practice of asceticism or austerity, like simple life. If without the wisdom of knowing the truth is not there, the ascetic life, renouncent life is pain. It's nothing more than just some sort of a penance. It's not a Mahayana path. And it's for this reason, lot of Mahayana practitioners in the past and also in the present, we see them not necessarily adopting the ascetic life. They're businessmen, I don't know, rich, affluent, wealthy, wear rings, earrings, nose rings, whatever. So in this way, you can even say, when the Buddhists begin to talk about teachings such as renunciation, love and compassion, basically they are attempting, it's an attempt to slowly stir you, to lead you or lure you towards the shunyata, towards the truth. Okay, so and therefore, okay, for instance, like mindfulness, since mindfulness is such a thing to talk about these days, for Mahayana, for the Bodhisattva yana, stability of the mind means really nothing. If there is no understanding of the truth, stable mind, for what? Might as well have a jumpy mind, they would think. Also, things like okay, so they, this is why in the sutras you will read phrases like, when you have complete nyingje, karuna, compassion, that actually means you have understood the shunyata. So understand, realization of the truth and having a perfect compassion is synonymous. This aspect of the bodhicitta really is something that need to be emphasized for the Mahayana practitioner. as long as you don't have this quest for the truth, as long, if you don't have this prajna, then compassion, loving kindness, they could be also self-deceiving. And also it could be a deception for others too. And not only that, if you don't have the prajna, love and compassion, morality, ethics, they are very exhausting. Say, for instance, generosity, perfection of the generosity. How are you going to achieve that? How do you define someone who has a perfect generosity, or he's a perfect disciplined? How do we define? And even practically, we can be generous to one or two people for maybe a year or two or even 20 years. But, after a while, it can get exhausting, and it can really even disorient yourself. And, we see this a lot, like things like love and compassion becomes also very partial. Like someone may have love and compassion towards things like dogs, but then they have no love and compassion towards cockroach or mosquitoes. So, one of the word, the classic word for somebody who has the bodhicitta is a bodhisattva. And the bodhisattva, one of the connotation of the bodhisattva is the courageous one, right? The one who has that kind of courage. When we talk about courage, what are we talking about? We are talking about someone who has understood the truth, or aspiring to see the understand the truth. Yeah, I'm emphasizing this because the act of benefiting others without the prajna can be very daunting and very tiring. And if you don't have hearing and contemplation regarding the ultimate bodhicitta, the wisdom, then you will also not have the access to the incredible, infinite, skillful means. If you have the wisdom, there's nothing that is not a skillful means. We eat every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, for instance. and we breathe in and out every moment. A skilled bodhisattva can even turn these mundane, seemingly mundane act, day-to-day act, as a bodhisattva path. Yeah, I know. For many of you, you may even think, me eating breakfast? How can that become a bodhisattva activity? Because you see, we are stuck with this idea that a bodhicitta has to be some sort, bodhisattva has to be some sort of a philanthropist. But if we can sort of explore a little bit of this prajna bit, even breathing in and out, our own breathing in and out, which we do it anyway. We have to. Even that we can turn it into a bodhisattva activity. Okay, so lastly, now the question is, do we even have the capacity to have this bodhicitta mind? Well, according to the Mahayana, very much so. In fact, your true nature is the bodhicitta. This is what Mahayana people think. Yes, for now, you may be, cocooned and wrapped by all kinds of emotions and the defilements, but your true nature is this bodhicitta. Just like a good human being, when they drink a lot of alcohol, they misbehave and they seemingly become kind of rowdy and kind of not a nice person. When the alcohol if effect subsides, they land or they arrive to the state of a good human being again, just like that. Right now, we are drunk by our emotions, our hope and fear. And when these things subsides, we are back to normal. And that normalcy is nothing other than the bodhicitta. So there's all the reason why we can have the bodhicitta. And according to the Shantadeva, the book that I was talking earlier, even if you wish that all beings understand the truth, you have become a bodhisattva. You have become the object of veneration by gods and asuras. That's what he said. But if you want to, sort of enhance the determination to awaken all sentient beings, it is also possible to surrender to rituals such as taking the bodhisattva vow. So before I let you ask the questions, we are quickly going to take the bodhisattva vow. And I urge you to take this bodhisattva vow. Some of you may be wondering what kind of dietary commitment you should, you have to be committed to. So not to worry about those things. When do you need to get up early in the morning? Stuff like that. It doesn't exist. Remember the ultimate, the prajna? Those things not so important. Not important, actually. What's really important, this is a vow. You are taking a vow that I shall try my best, one way or another, to make people see the truth, step by step. That's it. How can you not take this vow? Okay, so I will request you to take this bodhisattva vow. Okay, so we are doing this online. I know online stuff like taking a vow is a bit of a controversy, but since this is a Mahayana, I think it's okay. But just don't tell some of those Orthodox lamas that I've done this. Okay, so folding your palms together, let us take refuge first. Basically, what we are saying is that we will accept the truth as our object of refuge. And that one who taught as our guide, and the system or the community as our support. Okay, so please repeat this. Changchup ningpor chiji bar sanje namla japsu chi chödang changchup sampa yi tsoglang tejin japsu chi changchup ningpor chiji bar sanje namla japsu chi chödang changchup sampa yi tsoglang tejin japsu chi changchup ningpor chiji bar sanje namla japsu chi chödang changchup sampa yi tsoglang tejin japsu chi. Okay, now take the bodhisattva vow. Jidar nganji deshe ji changchup tukni jepa tang changchup sempi lapa la deda rimjin nepa tar tejin rola pendendu changchup semni Jeji Shing, Tejin Tuni, Lapa Lang, Rimba Jindu, Labar Ji. Okay, that's it. So I will answer some questions. Maybe I can't answer all. So I will listen to this. Is it or?
I think they were saying maybe you could
Read it here.
I can read them, Rinpoche, for you.
Okay.
So there's a question from Richard Dixie.
Oh,
If-
Richard Dixon. Okay.
If bodhicitta is wisdom, what is the basis for the spontaneous desire to share that wisdom with other beings? Is there not still the need for a contrived vow in order to motivate oneself to do this?
Well, bodhicitta is not only the wisdom, it is also, remember, to make a tea, you need leaf and water. I'm just emphasizing the wisdom because oftentimes bodhicitta always gets limited to this kind of kind thought and generous thoughts and so on and so forth.
I'll pause for one moment for translators. There's another question in Spanish from Aristides Rivodo. Is inhabiting non-duality the bodhicitta mind? And is this uniquely Buddhist?
Yes, I would say between lot of, Indian wisdom tradition, such as Nyaya and, Jain and Buddhism, really, really hard to distinguish, I would say. But bodhicitta is probably one of the unique thing. I haven't really heard this bodhicitta bit from others. So this may be a very big one. So please, scholars and researchers, if you can maybe make comment. Okay, Simi?
Yes. The next
Finish?
question. No, there's another question from Diego Almeida. How to develop bodhicitta practice daily?
Okay. I mean, there are a lot of, short and long rituals that can that can help you. So you can do that. But actually, I would rather encourage you to do it informally. For instance, wish to continue living so that one way or another, your action, even the most mundane action, remember I told you earlier, like drinking a cup of tea, one way or another will lead to make others understand the truth. This kind of longing, I think this is what Richard Dixie was also talking earlier. This kind of longing is, yes, it's contrived, it's fabricated, but it's anyway, nevertheless, is gearing towards the wisdom. And it's so important. And that's a bodhicitta practice.
We're just going to pause one moment, Rinpoche, for a translation. And Chinese translation is also being posted in the chat.
And
So-
wait, you know, especially if you or your friend, about, they are like on their last stage of their, like life. I think thinking of bodhicitta is very important. It's like, like usually you think, this is it. Your life is coming to an end, so to speak, right? But it's not really end. Because of the bodhicitta, your life is just beginning. There's all this, countless of sentient beings you need to awaken. Big project. One life is not enough. That's a very cowardly thinking. You wish to come back and, I don't know, until all sentient beings have finished, you want to come back as, I don't know, as bugs, as human beings, as whatever. That kind of planning and vision. Okay.
Just pausing for translation. Angela asks, to help someone see the truth and to help myself see the truth, how do I know whether I should continue working or should I take some time off for deepening my own practice? How do we know this and how can we make a decision?
I don't know your situation, depending on what kind of situation you are in. Do you need to pay mortgage? Do you need to, I don't know, pay certain bills? I don't know. Do you need to prepare for your, I don't know, next year? So do you have children? But time to time, if you take off some time and invest your time and energy on things like bodhicitta, definitely can charge you with the bodhicitta spirit, so to speak.
There's a question, Rinpoche, here about the relationship between karma and bodhicitta, and if you might elaborate.
Okay, we are going to talk about karma, I think, quite soon. So can we hold on with this question?
There's another question. When we make offerings, how to do it in the best way to also approach the truth?
Can you repeat that to me again?
Yeah, it's a translation. So I'm doing the best. Let's see. When we make an offering, how best to do it as an approach to truth?
Well, you have heard today with a bodhicitta, you are doing this offering so that one way or another, this act will awaken others to the truth. I'm just trying to not use the word classic phrase like for the sake of enlightenment of others, just so that you can understand what I'm trying to emphasize.
So there's another question from Alvaro Luis Campos that says, having gone astray down a wrong path for such a long time, it can be hard to be courageous to come back to this high path. The karmic effect remains. Is there anything you can say?
This is why the bodhicitta is absolutely important. As Chandradeva said, darkness of the millions of eons can be illuminated by one thought on the bodhicitta. So today I did not elaborate it, but usually when we take the bodhisattva vow, we even say that today we have become the child of the Buddha. Today we become the, illuminator. It's precisely with this kind of situation, bodhicitta becomes like an alchemy. Just imagine without the bodhicitta, how do we perfect, how do we make ourselves perfect? It's impossible. It's really impossible. What else?
Michela Simpkins asks, if everything, as you said, is soon to become non-existent, what then?
Oh. I think here there's a little bit of a misunderstanding of what we mean by non-existence. Generally, Buddhists, especially Mahayana Buddhists, when they say non-existence, it also includes the non-existence of non-existence. Yes. So the prajna, the wisdom, is non-dual. If it is just non-existence, then there's a duality.
Just pausing for a sec. Rolf asks the question, if someone's manipulating you all the time, do we still have to generate bodhicitta up to the point that it's completely destroying your own mental state?
Because the question implies that do you still need to behave gently, softly, and submissive, so on and so forth. But as I said right at the beginning, bodhicitta can be or not just can be, but the big part of the bodhicitta is like relentlessly, ruthlessly honest and the truth. You know, it's a truth-seeking thing. Without that wisdom, if it is just being loving and kindness, that could really burn you, I guess.
Hmm.
That's it.
No, there's many more, but I'm just kind of pausing because the translators need a little time. We'll have
We
to
will
do
take
part two.
maybe 2 more questions.
Sure. Noah asks, what are the benefits of having an awakened mind?
There are many, many benefits. Among many, I think it's always good to have a bird's eye view of life. You know, it's like the whole angle view of life. That's going to be so liberating and you know, not just one angle, not lopsided.
Rinpoche, there's a number of questions about courage, how to come up with this kind of courage for this, I guess, wiser bodhicitta, or that you allude to.
Yes, that's actually quite interesting. Wise, and you use the word courage and the wise together. Oftentimes, courage also seems to have the connotation of being a little bit stubborn and stupid, sometimes even. But if you see the truth, if you have the bird's eyes view of life, yes, basically that is the courage we are talking here. You are in the comfortable zone, so to speak. You are in a, what do you call it? You have the vista.
Should we close with one more question, Rinpoche?
I will actually answer this question. There's a question: is wishing to be reborn in Amitabha land a cowardice idea? Not at all. It's the most courageous. You should do this. And you should visit the temple in, I think this is a question coming from China. The main temple of the Pure Land School, where there's a really beautiful Amitabha Buddha statue. And to make it even greater, why don't you wish to reborn in the Amitabha realm so that you will enlighten all sentient beings, or so that you will awaken all sentient beings to the truth. See, I told you, it's like alchemy. Okay, Simi, maybe one more and then we close.
Sure. Rinpoche, how can we help others without seeing the truth ourselves?
Well, at least we wish to see the truth, and that's already really good. Not many people even have that. And whoever it is, thank you for correcting me that Maya is mostly Central American, Peru is Inca. And on this very auspicious note on talking about Maya and Inca, I shall say we will meet again in this cyber world, and I think we will be discussing about something to do with the karma. And meanwhile, please take care of yourself. Okay.